Globally, armed conflicts within and between states, sharpened by growing threats to human security, are on the increase. Unfortunately, conflicts normally take place in the world's poorest countries, where state capacity to act may be weak. Situations such as these hinder governments from delivery of basic needs for the people, and at times result into a state of emergency. In addition, in times of armed conflict, with many male relatives killed, injured, or displaced, women take on additional responsibilities to care for their families. Traditionally, women and girls tend to have less access than men to education, skills, and fewer prospects for employment. The maintenance of peace and security at the global, regional, and local levels is crucial for the protection of the human rights of women and girl children, as well as for the elimination of all forms of violence against them.
In Kenya, during the post-election violence of 2007-2008, women and girls were raped, often as a punishment to their communities. If I was a Luo, maybe Kalenjin or whatever, I would do it on another kind of ethnic group as a punishment.
Over the years, a number of organizations have taken up the mantle to promote peace issues, lobby and advocate for implementation of national, regional, and international peace instruments, such as UN Security Council Resolution 1325, on women's participation in the peace process, among others. These organizations work either in coalition at national level or individually, depending on the national circumstances. Given the above background, EACI is currently contributing to the subject of peace in Eastern Africa through the Regional Women's Voices for Peace initiative. The Regional Women's Voices for Peace initiative annually brings together women peacemakers from Eastern Africa to discuss peace strategies, share experiences, and consequently learn and replicate best practices back in their countries, and advocacy against illicit proliferation of small arms and light weapons.
The gender component of the small arms and light weapons is just not captured during the training. They simply train you how to use the firearm and how to keep it. There is no detailed information given about how this weapon can become a problem in the gender mainstream.
Forceful use of small arms and light weapons to abduct women to participate in the war. You live in that brutal life for the rest of your life. Say you are abducted when you are very young as 4 or 5 years. You grow up, with those militias there. You're subjected to tremendous acts. Now, when it comes to being reintegrated back to the society, it's actually hard for people to get used to the normal kind of way we are living.
Since 2008, at least 4 exchange visits have taken place to Garissa, northeastern province of Kenya, Goma in the Democratic Republic of Congo, Gulu in northern Uganda, and Burundi. The objective of these exchange visits is to share experiences in peace building and conflict resolution, and to learn best practices from one another that can be replicated when participants return home.
It's about decongesting really the stress that is in your heart by sharing your experience with others, learning from how they have coped. And I remember last year, after we had gone to Garissa in 2009, they invited us to please help them to develop a post-conflict dialogue framework.
Through this initiative, EACI aims to increase the participation of women in challenging systemic causes of conflict and providing alternative paradigms to peace building and conflict resolution. In April 2012, EACI conducted yet another learning exchange visit in Gulu, northern Uganda. Women and men peacemakers from Kenya, Uganda, as well as the newly independent South Sudan, came together to share, learn, and draw peace management lessons from each other.
Today's program starts with a briefing about the objective of the workshop and opening speech from the LC chairman from Gulu district. Then we go to the exchange, we have a field visit, we go to empowering hands.
A number of stakeholders partnered with EACI during the exchange visit, including Ms. Santa Oketa, Deputy Local Council 4, who officiated the meeting, the resident district commissioner, whom we paid a courtesy call, Obong Patrick, the Gulu PRDP focal person, some members of the civil society, and media practitioners.
We have had war for the last 2 decades. It has really devastated the women in this sub-region. The young girls were abducted and taken to the bush as sex slaves. Some of them returned with children, and they are here living in the community. Those who have been rescued from the war front are back with their children, but without proper sense of belonging, because sometimes they return with children when actually they lost their father. And those fathers of their children are also abducted at a very young age. They cannot tell which village they have been abducted from. Some are lost. They are loitering all over the town, doing this small labor work to feed maybe 5 or 6 children. With these few words, I would like to say, on behalf of Gulu District Local Government, to declare this workshop officially open. Thank
you. If you have the opportunity to have education, that is the biggest pride we women have. If that love you have for your child, and that love spread his life through, that person will not like to kill, because you have brought him or her in a patriotic type of life. I appreciate your coming. My mind is a few words of saying solidarity, love one another.
The focus of the exchange visit in Gulu was 2-pronged. A full day's field visit to Empowering Hands, a local civil society organization that is run by formerly abducted women and men, and a workshop to reflect shared experiences and discuss a way forward in promoting peace with a gender lens. Empowering Hands has a victim-to-victim program which tries to reconcile returned victims and their former torturers, a peer-to-peer program for the youth, counseling programs to reconcile families and the children they have rejected as a result of their participation in the Lord's Resistance Army War, and they also counsel families in the community that were victimized or traumatized by the war. As part of economic empowerment and promotion of food security, they have given out 5 oxen and plow to 5 different groups that they are working with. The plan is to fundraise and donate more oxen and plows. EACI heard stories of abduction, rape, forced marriages, killings, and tortures by members of Empowering Hands.
Ôi cà mơ mà uno dong kaya mami wata beda na to tike luano dia la dia nya ka fara dia nya to ba ko nya me ke wara du gan Okay, oh, the gun daddy. Quẹo cái cái miệt đi, các cô biên cô nói cô miệt đi này, mà tôi cái càn mà và đơn mà nặng này, và về được area cái đen, đó là amnesty tôi chắc cái.
Biên, cái nè, càn mà nuôi thì dùng gì mi tiền thì dùng để nuôi được, mong nuôi nè rồi đan một cho cái yak cái này, chỉ càn mà nuôi ini du gang ini.
Participants left empowering hands, mesmerized at their resolve to survive and their strength to overcome their tragedies and live meaningful lives.
I think this session has been really good for the fact that it was fully participatory and it was full of sharing experiences and learning from one another. And for the fact that the experiences were cross-border experiences, bringing similar problem situations. So I think this was really important and very exciting.
When you hear about attacks of LRA, we only hear them on TV, on radio, and most of these things are documented by people who, some of these things are not even real. But to actually learn and hear from first-hand victims of what they've gone through and how they have overcome that is very important, because also in South Sudan we've had similar experience, and now what we've learned from here, how they've overcome it, we'll take it back home and implement it. So it's been very successful.
The workshop held the following day was also very rich in that participants shared their experiences in the post-conflict recovery program.
These are, to me, I find they are great stories. And if somebody can really document from the perspective of the empowering hands as an institution and those individual stories that make up empowering hands, marrying it with what is there in their beneficiaries, it would be a great lesson for everybody.
Participants were drawn from civil society, government, and women's groups. The South Sudanese shared their experience dating back to the time of conflict with the Republic of Sudan until the time of independence in July 2011.
Our government are focusing more on security sectors. So how to secure the country, how to have the rule of law in place, and so forth. But we don't have any provision necessarily about women empowerment, because we have the cause of the 25% affirmative action that women are supposed to be represented on all the government levels by 25%.
They noted that they were still a young nation and were eager to learn from Kenya and Uganda.
We have been here in Uganda for 2 or 3 days, and I'm not sure if we have seen any policeman or military guy with a gun, but in South Sudan it's common. In the market, as soon as you get out of the plane, at the airport, there's so much guns.
They also observed that communities were still living very rural lives with limited opportunities due to poor infrastructure, such as transportation. Women are also hampered by patriarchal cultural beliefs that slow their progress in areas of democracy and governance, education, and trade.
So it's just what we think we need to do. Thank you.
For Kenya, there was a case study, Deka Ibrahim, RIP, a woman peace activist who brought communities in Wajir, northeastern Kenya, together during a period of intense clan wars. As a result, communities vowed that for every man killed, the perpetrator would have to pay 150 cows, and for every woman, 100 cows. Consequently, since 1999, peace has reigned in Wajir. The Tegla Laro Peace Foundation was formed with the aim of reaching warring communities in northern Kenya, southern Sudan, northeastern Uganda, Ethiopia, and other volatile areas in the region in peace building through conflict resolution programs. The Tegla Larop Peace Foundation's vision is a peaceful, prosperous, and just world in which sports is a unifying factor.
The Karamojong of the Pokot have been fighting the Turkana. Now you bring the two parties together to run for peace. So you can imagine how fast, what reaction they have at the start. So after, when they are brought together, they are kept in one place for 2 nights. The second night, there is a general discussions about peace. How do we bring about peace? There is a reflection on what has happened before and where is our stand as pastoralists within all the government sectors. Then the question is like, why are we fighting? And we are sharing the same problems. So this is how we intervene in most of these activities.
The workshop discussed issues surrounding the Peace, Recovery and Development Plan, PRDP.
The overall goal of PRDP is to stabilize northern Uganda and lay a firm foundation for recovery and development. Specifically, the PRDP aims at promoting socio-economic development of the communities of northern Uganda to bridge the gap between the north and the rest of the country.
As the violence is increasing, you will find that the partners are reducing, and then many of them are calling you and asking you, now gender officer, what are we supposed to do? We have had this case here, the partners who are here are no longer there, where do we go? And sometimes the partners also tells you, we don't have capacity, to go there. I would have loved that PRDP should look at some of those issues, because it's very pertinent and it's there, and the community are experiencing a lot of these issues. And although we say that they have gone back home, they can continue with they can farm the land, but you cannot clear away what has been going through their lives in the last 20 years.
An analysis of the Peace, Recovery and Development Program PRDP conducted by women members of Parliament and civil society leaders in September 2008 reveals that PRDP does not reflect Uganda women's needs or priorities. The overall framework is not in line with accepted national, regional, and international gender instruments such as Uganda's 1995 Constitution, the Uganda Gender Policy, the Convention of the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women, CEDAW, and the Beijing Platform for Action. Further, it does not reflect Millennium Development Goals, nor does it adhere to the requirements set out in the United Nations Security Council Resolution 1325, 2000 on women, peace and security. The situation is not very different today.
We reach very few people, and we are just trying to link up with groups that are there sharing the information. We developed even the briefs on PRDP as the Women Task Force, which we are now distributing in the community so that people know. So yes, this is a great thing, but we have tried our level best to influence the second phase.
There was also a media moment where a representative from Mayasi, Kenya, and South Sudan participated in a radio talk show on Radio Rupini, a local and very popular station in northern Uganda.
You are meeting some women and having some short training or workshop. What have you learned so far from this visit?
The people themselves don't recognize themselves as sheroes and heroes, while we recognize them as the heroes and sheroes. So what we have really learned is that the community, they don't have the realization that they are making transformation. So I think it's very important that they begin to document what they are doing, because when you document what you're doing, then you can see yourself moving from point A to point B. So they're not documenting what they're doing. They are using a multifaceted approach, which is really the best approach. So they have victim to victims reconciliation. That is, you're a victim because you're abducted. Then again, you become you violate someone else who also becomes your victim.
You are from South Sudan, and looking at South Sudan itself as an emerging democracy, certainly someone would think women's voice is a very hard thing to hear or to come up with issues in South Sudan. When you visited here, I don't know, how do you compare the situation here vis-a-vis South Sudan in terms of democracy and women advancement in leadership?
In Uganda, what I learned here in Gulu is that there is a very clear connection with the civil society organizations and their government is in terms of the PRDP program, because at least they have this PRDP program and they have access to information. In South Sudan, our government, after the war, they have developed a South Sudan development plan, just similar to PRDP. But here, the civil society they have hands on this. They have access to information. They are connecting with their government. They have the process is so much clearer. Even they were able to identify where are the gaps. I think what we need to work on in our country or in South Sudan is to have this connection with the government so that we can have a clear process on how things are going.
You really went through very tempting moments in 2007. What's your vision as women in Kenya?
What we are doing right now for women, we are educating them. We are conducting civic education on the constitution. And we are hoping by after the elections we are going to achieve that, the third representation and not more than 2/3 representation. But what women are doing at the moment, the women organizations, we are aiming for not more than 2/3 principle. That is now on the affirmative action.
At the end of the visit, participants recommended that the next exchange visit be conducted in South Sudan.
From the side of South Sudan, 2 areas. One for the South Sudanese, again, to come to an area where they can look at methodologies of farming, good practice in farming, so that they can learn to also be food secure within the villages that the villages that they are working in. And also for our people to also go to South Sudan. When you see with your eyes and you hear with your mouth directly, that is really when you believe.
And that EACI should help to document their experiences that were disappearing under the culture of oral history.